Hi everybody, I'm Jared Pike. This is Shell Point Today for Monday, September 5th. On today's show, we begin our week-long remembrance of September 11th. It's been 10 years since the tragedy, and still, the stories from that day are fresh in our minds. We start our week of remembrances with Anna Marie Tesoriero of Sundial, a New Yorker to the core. She worked as a kindergarten teacher and had brought some of her best students to visit the World Trade Center on February 26, 1993. On the elevator ride down, the elevator stopped and then the lights went out. Anna Marie and her class were trapped in that elevator for 6 hours, unaware that a terrorist bomb had detonated more than 30 stories beneath them. How did they survive? Let's find out as we talk with Anna Marie Tesoriero.
I was born in the Bronx. I married my husband 25 years later, and he came from Brooklyn. We settled in Brooklyn because you went where the husband worked. I was a kindergarten teacher for many years, and that is the best class you can teach. They're the smartest when they're in kindergarten, and I love that age group. I went to the World Trade Center as a teacher the first time, because when you live in New York, you usually don't do the things the tourists do. Oh yeah, that goes for anything. But when you have a classroom of little children, you look for places to go. My colleague Helen Martin found out that there were puppet shows at the World Trade Center, and we would go around Christmas time, different things to bring them. And it was a big deal because we had to get a school bus, and you had to make an appointment just like you do in Shell Point. So we saw puppet shows and we went for a couple of years. And in February 26, 1993, I was really bored with going to World Trade Center, but I was being enthusiastic. I looked out the window, it started to snow, and I'm saying, oh, maybe we don't have to go. Maybe we don't have to go. No, it stopped and we went. So we went down there, they had their little lunch there, and I knew when we went back to the classroom, they were going to take the blocks, they were going to have time and make twin towers, and they were going to make the little cars, and that's what they were going to do. And we got in the elevator, and I'm saying, I was separated from my other classes. So one of them was still waiting to go on an elevator. So I thought the elevator was crowded. And I said, this is very crowded. And we were with a school from Staten Island. They were older kids, like 5th grade. They were noisy. Mine were as good as gold and quiet. So we went in, and all of a sudden we're going down, and your worst fear, the elevator stops. And the poor man, there was a conductor in there, the elevator conductor. He didn't know what was going on. Everything stopped. We didn't know what happened. First, he got some communication, and then he didn't, and then the lights went out. That's the biggest fear. And older kids were more noisy about it than the younger ones. I don't know. And I'm afraid of the dark. I am afraid. But you can't show your fear because if I start in, and one of the mothers as a chaperone was losing it. So that I had a worse time with her. And we didn't know what happened all those hours. So gradually, one of the mothers opened the door of the elevator, and you're not near a floor, you're near a shaft, and it was the 33rd floor. So there's no way you could get out. But smoke was coming in, and we're hot and we're perspired. Nobody knew where we were all those hours. And my mother instinctively knew, because she knew I was going, that it was me who was stuck in the elevator. Then they mentioned my name, and then my husband heard about it on the car radio, and he panicked. My mother's in the Bronx, my husband's in Brooklyn, and then she'd call up everybody, and then it's a big Italian-American family, everybody knew about it, and they started praying. We didn't know what was going on. We did pray. I had a pair of rosary beads on me, and I did pray and visualize myself in church. I did do that. the beads light up. So one little girl saying, your beads light up, so so that was the only light, except for my assistant who smoked. So she didn't smoke, but she got out her cigarette lighter, didn't keep it on, but she kept it flicking because I was even panicked. I was panicking. I'm afraid of the dark to this day. And we prayed. And my children knew little thank you for the food we eat, thank you for the world so sweet. So then they're singing Thanksgiving songs, and it is after Christmas, but they remembered that. They're very cute. I stood up because that's how I keep control. But gradually, all my children fell asleep. They took a nap like they usually would every afternoon. The older ones were the ones, I think, complaining, but not the kindergarten. And they were if you see their pictures, yes, they were really cute. And one of the mothers was getting panicky. We managed, you had to stay there. We don't know what happened. Finally, somebody, a fireman got up from the top and took the latch, off and said, we're going to rescue you, but you have to go on a ladder. So my class was last. The older ones and the mothers, I think, went up first, and some of them were getting a little, So I helped them up, and then I got up the ladder. I was so happy to see this fireman in all my life. And they were all great. Didn't know what happened. The place looked hazy. It looked surreal. It really did. It was like a foggy thing. And they were told, just like in a fire drill, wait against the wall on the ground floor, which they did, because my principal believed in fire drills once a month, and you had it. So they knew exactly what to do.
How long were you
6 hours. They said 5, it was 6. Not knowing, then we heard it was an explosion. It was, instead of going up, the explosion went down. Somebody did die. 6 people or 7 people died. And the 2,000 people in there at the time were survivors, especially the children, the 5 of us. We had a police escort going back to Brooklyn where everybody waited for us. My husband, the children's mothers. One little girl got panicky. They sent psychologists in because it was traumatic. The traumatic thing was not the bomb. It was being stuck in the elevator for 6 hours. It was a horrendous thing. I noticed my husband being very upset and anxious. I was just glad I was alive. We all were. We didn't realize until the next day, and I kept getting calls, and a lot of us did, about the media, the one trapped in the elevator, all the publicity we got. New York Times, the Daily News, the Daily Mirror, Newsday, USA, People magazine, even, I hate to say it, Star magazine and Enquirer. Didn't know who they were. They come on the phone with a British accent, and they even wanted to make a movie, so we had to get a movie producer, and they made the movie. And this is funny because we thought we were going to meet the stars. They shot it in Canada, and George Clooney was in it before he had a name. That would have been lovely. And Fran Drescher was my girlfriend, and I was Susan Rutan, the quiet one,
Imagine you're 107 stories up, and the World Trade Center is suddenly rocked by a terrorist attack.
Did you tell them that we have kids in here?
For the first time, the real story of the survivors and the heroes.
Looks like the gates of hell down there.
Susan Rutan in Without Warning, Terror in the Towers, an NBC movie.
So anyway, it was a horrible movie, and my mother didn't even watch it when it was on. I think it was because she couldn't bear to think of that day, because she really thought I was gonna, where was I? I went right back to work. My principal said, you come in, it happened on a Friday, you all come in on a Monday, because if you fall off a horse, you have to get back and do your routine. And that's what the children want to do. They want their routine. And that's what they got. If they were nervous, if they were worried, they only knew it from the newspaper, and they drew pictures of the Twin Tower only because they had seen it on TV with the fire coming out. My principal had to be careful what he said because we had some Muslims in the school. And I felt that way too. It wasn't their fault. I remember saying it's just evil men. Whoever did it, they came across in the movie as stupid men. If you may never see it again, that movie. Sometimes it's on Lifetime. But they came across as fools in 1993. Never felt that way. Never. And then 6 months later, Oklahoma City happened. So I said, you see, it's even in the United States. It's one of ours. The only thing that bothered me was going in elevators. That I'll be honest about. If I could take the stairs, I'll do it even now if I could take the stairs. That was it. Never feared a terrorist, never thought about it for all those years. If you're in any kind of, even in Shell Point, you're not going to use the elevator. You know, you get out of the building. You don't open the doors. We had opened the doors in the elevator and the smoke did get in my lungs. I had a very bad case of bronchitis after that.
Tell me about 2001.
I was volunteering in the hospital, and I was probably teaching religion for the, Sunday school, but we had it in the week. And we were watching the Mass on TV on EWTN, faithfully, every morning. And the phone was ringing, and it was my son. He said, put on the TV. A plane crashed into the World Trade Center, and it was 8:40. And I said, oh, come on. He said, they're going to be calling you up now. I said, oh, put it on. And I saw, not the actual one, they show it again, and I think I had to put CNN on because you couldn't get the main station. I'm saying, oh, that's a mistake. How could an airplane be the pilot be so dumb? He was just or a hijacking. And then when I saw the other plane hit the other way, I said, I couldn't believe it. We were shocked, my husband and I. Shocked, I must have cried. I said, I can't believe it. And I'm saying, get out of there, get out of there. Please get out of there. God, let them get out of there. What are they? Then I'm hearing that they're waiting to be rescued. Get out of there. Don't even think about it. Luckily, it was still kind of early in the morning. Luckily, there were no children there because from 1993, the New York City Board of Education made a policy that school children were not allowed to go on trips there anymore. It was too dangerous. My daughter called to see how I was. My son called back. He was trapped in New York. There was no way he could get back to New Jersey. Immediately the next day, my husband and I went to church. We went to Mass. And I looked in the book, what did I do the next day? What did I do the next day? And my husband would always say, you could see it on TV. Why do you want to go to church when you can see it on TV? I wrote down that he cried because it was very poignant. It was, even the homilies were better. The churches were crowded then. The churches in New Jersey were crowded. Thousands died from New Jersey. Not so much New York City. New Jersey. I never went back.
You never went to ground?
That was the last time. I wouldn't even go in the city. I just couldn't. Finally, I went with someone with my cell phone in my pocket, and I wanted to see something, an opera or a ballet, and I'm saying, no, I'm missing out. And my son said he saw it every day on the bus, and I just turned away when I went into the thing. I would not look. Yes, it impacted me. We were saved through God. Why? Why were we saved? That has affected me. You prayed, and I'm praying for them. Now, I'm still praying for them.